Humans walked away. The Galactic Council watched in absolute horror. Part 1. First Contact. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as Supreme Counselor Thrax rose from his ornate seat. His blue scales shimmered under the light of 1,000 stars that shone through the transparent dome above. Representatives from 500 worlds watched with interest as Thrax raised his three-fingered hand. "Esteemed colleagues," Thrax began, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into the standard galactic language. "Our exploration fleet has discovered a new species on a small blue planet in the outer rim. They call themselves humans, and their world is called Earth." Images appeared in the air above the council floor. Cities sprawled across continents. Vehicles moved on roads and through skies. Humans of different colors and shapes went about their daily lives, completely unaware they were being observed. "They have achieved basic space travel but remain confined to their own solar system," continued Thrax. "Their technology is primitive by our standards, but they advance quickly. Our scientists estimate they may develop faster than light travel within 200 years. Counselor Drex of the Voluvian Empire leaned forward. "Are they a threat?" "Not currently," Thrax replied. "But their history shows remarkable adaptability and a concerning tendency toward conflict. The Council must decide, do we initiate contact now while we hold the advantage? Or wait and risk dealing with a more advanced civilization later?" After hours of debate, the Council voted. Earth would be approached with an offer to join the galactic community, but with strict limitations on technology sharing and expansion rights. Ambassador Ilara Reed stood at the window of her office at the United Nations headquarters in New York, watching rain splatter against the glass. 6 months had passed since the alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit. 6 months of frantic diplomacy, cultural exchanges, and careful negotiations. The phone on her desk buzzed. Her assistant's voice came through the speaker. "The Galactic Council representatives have arrived, Ambassador." Ilara straightened her dark blue suit and checked her reflection in the window. At 45 years old, with silver streaks in her black hair, she carried herself with the confidence of someone used to making difficult decisions. "Send them in," she replied. The door opened to admit 3 aliens. Thrax led the delegation, his tall, slender form moving with surprising grace for his reptilian appearance. Behind him came Nylath, a being that looked like a cross between an insect and a plant, and Zorvan, whose metallic skin reflected the office lights. "Ambassador Reed," Thrax greeted her with a formal bow. "We bring the Council's formal offer of admission to the galactic community." Ilara gestured to the conference table. "Please sit. Would you like refreshments?" The aliens politely declined and took their seats. Thrax placed a small device on the table, which projected a holographic document. "The terms are generous," he explained. "Earth will receive protected status. We will establish a cultural exchange program and provide limited medical and agricultural technology that will benefit your people." "And the restrictions?" Ilara asked directly. Nylath's translucent wings fluttered slightly. "Standard for new species. Earth will not be permitted to establish colonies beyond your solar system for the first 100 years of membership. Military technology will remain under Council supervision, and any scientific advancements must be reported to the Council for review before implementation." Ilara's face remained neutral as she reviewed the document. "I notice there's no mention of the faster-than-light technology you use for your ships. Such advanced technology is only shared after several centuries of membership," Zorvan stated, his voice sounding like musical chimes. "It is for the protection of all species in the community." Ilara nodded slowly. "I see. And if Earth chooses not to join under these terms?" The 3 aliens exchanged glances. "Your planet would be placed under observation," Thrax said carefully. "For the safety of the galactic community, of course. No technology would be shared, and any attempts to expand beyond your system would be discouraged." "You mean prevented," Ilara corrected. "If necessary," admitted Thrax. Ilara stood and walked back to the window. Rain continued to fall on the city below, where life continued as normal despite the extraordinary meeting taking place. "Supreme Counselor, I appreciate your offer. I will present it to Earth's united government for consideration." She turned back to face them. "But I must be honest. These terms are unlikely to be accepted." Thrax's head tilted in confusion. "Ambassador, perhaps you don't understand the opportunity being presented. Many species wait generations for an invitation to join the community. I understand perfectly, Alara replied. You're offering us a cage with very comfortable bars. That is an unfortunate mischaracterization, Nylath protested. These measures are temporary. In a few centuries, Alara shook her head. Humans measure our lives in decades, not centuries. You're asking generations of humans to accept limitations with only the promise that their distant descendants might be treated as equals. The meeting concluded with formal pleasantries, but the tension remained thick. Alara escorted the aliens to the elevator. As the doors closed, she heard Zorvan say to the others, "They will reconsider. They have no choice." 2 weeks later, Alara stood before the United Earth Council, the global governing body formed in response to first contact. Representatives from every nation listened intently as she outlined the Galactic Council's offer. In conclusion, she finished, they offer protection and limited technology in exchange for submission to their authority and acceptance of strict limitations on our development and expansion. President Kwan of the Pacific Alliance was the first to speak. And if we refuse? They didn't make explicit threats, Alara answered, but the implication was clear. At minimum, they would isolate us and prevent any expansion beyond our solar system. Admiral Jackson of the newly formed Earth Defense Fleet stood. Our military analysis suggests we cannot hope to match their technology. Their ships could destroy our entire fleet in minutes. But they don't want to destroy us, noted Director Okafor of the Global Science Initiative. They want to control us. That's an important distinction. President Rivera of the Americas Federation tapped her fingers on the table thoughtfully. Ambassador Reed, what do you recommend? Alara took a deep breath. I believe accepting these terms would be a mistake. Yes, we would gain some benefits in the short term, but we would be surrendering humanity's future to alien oversight. Forever. The alternative could be conflict we cannot win, warned Premier Lee. Perhaps, Alara conceded, but there may be a third option. She nodded to Director Okafor. The scientist pressed a button on his tablet. The lights dimmed and a hologram appeared above the center of the room, showing technical diagrams that few in the room fully understood. For the past 70 years, Okafor explained, we've been reverse engineering technology from crashed alien vessels. Vessels not from the Galactic Council, but from somewhere else. We've made breakthroughs they don't know about. Murmurs filled the room as Okafor continued. They believe we're centuries away from developing faster than light travel. They're wrong. Project Exodus has already succeeded in small-scale tests. President Kwan leaned forward. Are you suggesting we refuse their offer and risk conflict? No, Alara replied. I'm suggesting we appear to consider their offer while accelerating our plans. We need time, but not as much as they think. The council debated through the night. By morning, they had reached a consensus. Earth would neither accept nor reject the Galactic Council's offer. Instead, they would request time for consideration and clarification of terms. Meanwhile, Project Exodus would move forward at maximum priority. Supreme Counselor Thrax received Earth's response with surprise. They wish for more time? He asked the messenger. For what purpose? Ambassador Reed says they need to achieve consensus among their many nations, replied the junior diplomat. Their decision-making process is complex, primitive, Thrax corrected. But predictable. They will come to understand the wisdom of our offer. They have no alternative. That night, encrypted communications flowed between secret facilities around. Earth scientists and engineers worked around the clock on technology the Galactic Council believed impossible for humans. And in a secure bunker beneath the Himalayas, Ambassador Alara Reed reviewed the latest progress report on Project Exodus with a small smile. Soon, she whispered to herself. Very soon. Humans walked away, the Galactic Council watched in absolute horror. Part 2. The Watcher's Military Commander. Varrock stood on the bridge of the Galactic Council surveillance vessel orbiting Earth. His 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the holographic displays showing activity across the planet below. It had been 6 months since the humans had requested more time to consider the Council's offer, and Varrock had been assigned to monitor their activities during this period. Report, he demanded of his crew. Science Officer Mira approached with a data tablet. Unlike Varrock's stone-like gray skin, Mira's species had translucent blue flesh that pulsed with light when she spoke. Commander, We've detected unusual energy signatures from multiple locations on the planet, she said. The readings are inconsistent with the technology level we assess the humans to possess. Varrock grunted. Show me. The main screen displayed a map of Earth with several glowing dots marking sites of interest. Most were located in remote areas, deep underground facilities in mountains, complexes in deserts, and installations beneath the ocean. The humans are hiding something, Varrock said. Increase surveillance on these locations. Sir, the Council authorized only passive observation, Mira reminded him cautiously. Then we will passively observe more closely, Varrock replied with a dangerous edge to his voice. Deploy stealth drones to each site. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Lucas Thompson wiped sweat from his brow as he made final adjustments to the prototype drive. The laboratory hummed with activity as scientists and engineers worked on various components of what they called the Departure Project. Engine stress test complete, announced his colleague, Dr. Isabella Martinez. We've achieved stable energy output at 120% of projected capacity. Lucas allowed himself a small smile. That's better than we hoped for. How's the scaling calculation looking? The math checks out, Isabella replied, pulling up a complex simulation on her screen. If these results hold, we can build a drive capable of transporting a vessel 10 times larger than anything we've tested before. Their conversation was interrupted by the facility director, Admiral Wilson, who entered the lab with a stern expression. We may have observers, he said quietly. Security detected anomalous signals in the airspace above the facility. Could be Council tech. Lucas frowned. Are we compromised? Not yet, Wilson replied. But we need to accelerate the timetable. The Council is getting suspicious. Isabella glanced nervously at the prototype. We're making progress faster than expected, but we're still months away from full implementation. You have weeks, not months, Wilson told them. The Council's patience won't last forever, and neither will their polite observation. In the Galactic Council headquarters, Supreme Counselor Thrax reviewed Commander Varrock's latest report with growing concern. These energy readings, he said to his advisors, they suggest the humans are developing technology well beyond their expected capabilities. Perhaps they received outside help, suggested Counselor Zella, her feathered crest rising with agitation. There are always rogue elements willing to trade technology for resources. Impossible, declared Science Director Plex. Our blockade is absolute. No unauthorized ships have entered or left the Sol system. Thrax drummed his clawed fingers on the table. We need more information. Commander Varrock's observations are useful but limited. We require someone on the ground. Intelligence has an agent prepared for infiltration, offered Security Chief Dorn. She can pass as human with minor surgical modifications. Proceed, Thrax ordered. I want to know exactly what the humans are planning before we make our next move. Agent Neria studied her reflection in the mirror of her small apartment in Washington, D.C. The surgeries had been painful but effective. With her now pink skin, added hair, and altered facial features, she could easily pass as human. 3 months of intensive language and cultural training had prepared her for this mission. She checked her credentials one last time. According to her cover identity, she was Maria Foster, a new administrative assistant at the Department of Energy, a position that offered access to information about various research projects across the country. Her communicator vibrated, a message from her handler. Project Exodus mentioned in Secure Communications, investigate. Neria smiled. She had her first lead. Over the next few weeks, Neria worked diligently to gain the trust of her human colleagues. She cultivated a friendship with Thomas Reeves, a mid-level manager with higher security clearance. You seem interested in the Special Projects Division, Thomas remarked one evening as they shared drinks after work. Neria gave a casual shrug. Just curious about where all our budget goes. Especially the classified allocations, Thomas leaned closer. Between us, something big is happening. All the top scientists have been reassigned. Equipment requisitions like you wouldn't believe. And it's all going through unusual channels. Any idea what it is? She asked, keeping her tone merely curious. They don't tell me much, but I've heard whispers about something called Exodus. He took a sip of his drink. Whatever it is, it's consuming resources from every department. Neria reported this information to her handler that night. along with copies of budget documents she had discreetly accessed. The response came quickly. Continue investigation. Seek physical access to project sites. Commander Varrock stared at the latest satellite imagery with disbelief. When did they build this? The images showed a massive facility in Antarctica that hadn't appeared in previous scans. Somehow the humans had constructed an enormous complex beneath the ice without detection. Unknown, sir, replied his second-in-command. Our previous scans of that region showed only natural ice formations. Impossible, Varrock growled. Nothing that size could be built so quickly without our noticing. Unless, began Officer Mira hesitantly. Unless what? Varrock demanded. Unless they've developed some form of cloaking technology, she suggested. Or perhaps a way to manipulate our scanning equipment. Varrock's expression darkened. Either possibility is disturbing. Both would indicate technology far beyond what humans should possess. A communication alert sounded, and the face of Supreme Counselor Thrax appeared on the main screen. Commander Varrock, Thrax began without preamble. Our agent on Earth has uncovered disturbing information. The humans are developing a project called Exodus, apparently some form of transportation technology. Varrock gestured to the Antarctic images. That might explain this new facility, Supreme Counselor. We've also detected unusual ship movements. Small vessels are traveling between Earth and their moon in increasing numbers. Evacuation? Thrax wondered aloud. Perhaps, Varrock acknowledged. But where would they go? We control all access points to their system. They're planning something, Thrax said grimly, and I fear we have underestimated them. Continue your surveillance, Commander. At the first sign of a threat, you are authorized to take preventive action. Neria's opportunity came sooner than expected. A diplomatic delegation was scheduled to visit one of the research facilities, and as Thomas's assistant, she was included in the administrative team handling the arrangements. The facility, located in the Australian outback, appeared from the outside to be a modest research station studying atmospheric conditions. But as their convoy passed through multiple security checkpoints, Neria began to suspect there was much more beneath the surface. Deep underground, the delegation was led through sterile white corridors to a large conference room. Neria kept her eyes open, noting every detail, every security measure. The representatives will be here shortly, announced the security chief. Please remain in this room. When a bathroom break gave her a few moments alone, Neria activated a small device hidden in her watch. It would scan and record any electronic emissions within range. With luck, it would capture useful data without triggering alarms. The meeting itself revealed little of substance. Diplomatic pleasantries and vague references to mutual interests. But as they were leaving, Neria glimpsed something through a partially open door. A massive hangar containing what appeared to be a ship unlike any she had seen before. It had no visible propulsion system, yet something about its design suggested it was meant for space travel. That evening, in her hotel room, Neria transmitted her findings to Commander Varrock's ship. The response was immediate and urgent. Return immediately. Council convening emergency session. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was called to order as Neria's report was displayed for all members to see. The evidence is clear, declared Thrax. The humans are developing technology far beyond their approved level. They have concealed facilities, unregistered spacecraft, and what appears to be an unauthorized propulsion system. But how? Asked Counselor Zella. Where did they acquire such knowledge? Security Chief Dorn stepped forward. Our investigation suggests they have been reverse engineering technology from a crashed vessel. Not one of ours, possibly from the Archon Collective or another advanced civilization. Murmurs of concern spread through the chamber. More troubling, continued Dorn, is this Project Exodus. Based on energy readings and infrastructure development, we believe they are preparing for a mass migration of some kind. Impossible, scoffed Science Director Plex. Where would they go? Even with stolen technology, they cannot hope to break our blockade. Perhaps they have developed something we haven't anticipated, suggested Counselor Vex, the oldest member of the council. It wouldn't be the first time a species has surprised us. Thrax raised his hand for silence. Regardless of how they acquired it or what they intend, this technology development violates the terms we set for Earth. They have not yet joined the community, but are acting in direct defiance of our authority. What do you propose? asked Vex. We must act decisively, Thrax replied. I propose an ultimatum. Cease all unauthorized technology development immediately, or face quarantine and possible military intervention. The vote was quick and nearly unanimous. Only Vex abstained, his ancient eyes troubled as the council adjourned. On Earth, the first prototype vessel of Project Exodus prepared for its test flight. Dr. Lucas Thompson and Admiral Wilso and watched from the control room as the sleek ship rose silently from its berth. All systems nominal, reported Isabella from her station, preparing for phase shift. A warning alarm suddenly blared through the facility. Multiple ships entering Earth orbit, announced the security officer. Galactic Council vessels. They're transmitting a message on all frequencies. Admiral Wilson's expression hardened. Put it through. The stern face of Commander Varrock appeared on screen. People of Earth, by order of the Galactic Council, you are hereby commanded to cease all unauthorized technology development immediately. Your planet is now under quarantine. Any attempt to launch spacecraft will be met with force. You have 24 hours to comply. The transmission ended, leaving a heavy silence in the control room. Admiral Wilson turned to Lucas. How soon can the Exodus be ready? For full deployment? Lucas shook his head. Weeks at best. We don't have weeks, Wilson replied grimly. We have hours. Outside, in the cold void of space, Council warships took up position around Earth, their weapon systems powering up as the humans below scrambled to respond to the ultimatum that would determine their future. Humans walked away, the Galactic Council watched in absolute horror. Part 3. The Ultimatum Admiral. Marcus Torres stood on the bridge of the EDF Defiant, flagship of Earth's defense fleet, watching the holographic display of Council warships surrounding Earth. His weathered face remained calm despite the tension that filled the air. 30 years in various Earth militaries had taught him that showing fear only spread it to others. Status report, he ordered. His executive officer, Commander Rodriguez, approached with a tablet. 28 Council vessels in orbit, sir. Another 42 holding position near the moon. Their weapons are powered but not targeted. Not yet, Marcus nodded. And our fleet? All 18 ships at battle stations. Defensive systems at maximum. The Admiral didn't need to be told that their chances in direct combat were virtually zero. Earth ships, while advanced by human standards, were toys compared to Council technology. Sir? Called the communications officer. Transmission from Earth Command. The main screen activated to show the face of General Diana Wright, head of the United Earth Defense Council. Admiral Torres, she began without preamble. Have you received the Council ultimatum? Yes, General. They're demanding we cease all technology development and submit to quarantine. Those are their public demands, Diana replied grimly. We've received a more detailed list through diplomatic channels. They want access to all research facilities, surrender of all prototype technologies, and a permanent Council oversight committee with authority to approve or deny any scientific research. Marcus frowned. They're not asking us to join them anymore. They're demanding our surrender. Precisely. The Council is meeting an emergency session in 1 hour. Ambassador Reed will attend to hear their final terms, but we expect no compromises. She paused. Admiral, how long could your fleet hold them off? Hours at best, Marcus admitted. And that's assuming they don't bring in reinforcements. Diana nodded, having expected that answer. Then we proceed with the alternative plan. Operation Walkabout is authorized. Marcus's eyes widened slightly. Ma'am, is it ready? It has to be, Diana replied. Dr. Jackson is sending the final protocols to your ship now. Stand by for further orders, Admiral. Earth Command out. As the screen went dark, Marcus turned to his executive officer. Commander, secure the bridge. Authorization level 10 only. Once only the most senior officers remained, Marcus activated the secure terminal at his command station. The face of Dr. Imani Jackson appeared, her eyes tired but alert. Admiral Torres, she greeted him. I understand Operation Walkabout has been authorized. Yes, Doctor. Are you sure it will work? Dr. Jackson sighed. Our tests have been successful at small scale, but we've never attempted anything of this magnitude. The mathematics checks out, but we're talking about billions of lives, Marcus finished for her, not to mention ships, infrastructure, entire cities. The alternatives are submission or destruction, Imani reminded him. At least this gives us a chance. Marcus nodded. What do you need from my fleet? Each of your ships will serve as a network node. she explained, sending technical diagrams to his screen. The quantum displacement field requires synchronized points to maintain stability during the transition. Your vessels will need to be positioned precisely according to these coordinates. And the timeline? 22 hours, Imani replied. That's how long it will take to bring the planetary displacement system to full power. The Council gave us 24, Marcus noted. Then we have a 2-hour safety margin, Imani said with a thin smile, assuming nothing goes wrong. In the Grand Council chamber, Ambassador Ilara Reed stood before the assembled representatives of 500 worlds. Unlike her previous visit, this time she was not treated as an honored guest but as a supplicant. Supreme Counselor Thrax looked down at her from his elevated position. Ambassador Reed, the Council has reviewed Earth's activities over the past months. Your planet has violated the trust we extended and developed technologies far beyond your approved level. Earth never agreed to any technology restrictions, Ilara pointed out calmly. We requested time to consider your offer of membership, which included those restrictions. We never accepted them. Murmurs spread through the chamber at her boldness. Semantics, dismissed Thrax with a wave of his hand. Your species was made aware of our expectations, yet you proceeded with developing technologies that could destabilize the entire sector. Technologies for our own use, Ilara countered. We have shown no aggression toward the Council or any other civilization. Intent is irrelevant, declared Counselor Drex. The regulations exist to maintain order and prevent catastrophic, technological leaps that younger species are not prepared to handle responsibly, Ilara straightened her shoulders. With respect, Counselor, who decides when a species is ready? You based on what criteria? This is not a philosophical debate, Thrax cut in sharply. The Council has made its decision. Earth will submit to the following terms. All advanced technology research will cease immediately. Council inspectors will be granted unrestricted access to all research facilities. Prototype vessels and equipment will be surrendered for evaluation, and a permanent Council presence will be established to monitor your technological development. And if Earth refuses, Ilara asked, though she already knew the answer, then your planet will face increasing sanctions, beginning with complete isolation from space travel, and eventually including more direct measures if necessary, Thrax replied. Ilara nodded slowly. I understand. I will convey these terms to Earth's leadership immediately. May I request a shuttle to return to my planet? Thrax seemed surprised by her acquiescence. Of course. A diplomatic vessel will be prepared. As Ilara was escorted from the chamber, Counselor Vex watched her with curious eyes. The ancient being had seen many species come and go in his long lifetime, and something about the humans' calm acceptance troubled him. She surrendered too easily, he remarked to Thrax after the chamber had emptied. What choice do they have? Thrax replied dismissively. Their military is insignificant, and their technology, while advancing quickly, is no match for ours. Perhaps, Vex said thoughtfully. But in my experience, when a cornered creature suddenly stops fighting, it's not always surrender. Sometimes it's because they've found another way out. Dr. Imani Jackson stood in the central control room of the Antarctic Quantum Physics Research Station, the heart of Project Exodus. Around her, hundreds of scientists and engineers worked frantically at their stations, making final adjustments to the most ambitious technology ever created by human hands. The quantum displacement field generator occupied the center of the vast chamber, a massive sphere surrounded by concentric rings that slowly rotated in opposing directions. Energy pulsed through the structure in waves of blue-white light. Power levels at 68% and rising, reported Dr. Victor Nazari, her chief engineer. All field stabilizers functioning within parameters. Imani nodded, checking the complex equations scrolling across her screen. The harmonic resonance is still fluctuating in the tertiary circuits. Have Team C recalibrate the quantum buffers. Dr. Jackson, called a voice from the communication station. Ambassador Reed's shuttle has departed the Council station. ETA to Earth is 40 minutes. And the Council fleet, maintaining position. No hostile movements detected yet. Imani allowed herself a moment to close her eyes. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her. Billions of lives depending on technology that had never been tested at this scale. The theories were sound, the mathematics perfect, but so many things could still go wrong. Her tablet chimed with a message from Admiral Torres. Fleet in position. Standing by. The next phase of the operation had begun. On the bridge of the Defiant, Admiral Torres directed his fleet into the precise formation specified by Dr. Jackson's team. The 18 ships of Earth's defense fleet took up positions in a complex three-dimensional pattern around the planet. "Sir," called his tactical officer, "Council vessels are adjusting their orbits to match our movements." "They think we're preparing for combat," Marcus observed. "Let them." His communications officer looked up with concern. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Council command ship. Commander Varrock is demanding to know what we're doing." "No response," Marcus ordered. "Maintain radio silence as ordered." The minutes ticked by tensely as the Earthships held their positions. On the tactical display, Marcus could see the Council vessels spreading out, covering all possible attack vectors. "Sir," said Commander Rodriguez quietly, "what happens if this doesn't work?" Marcus met his XO's eyes steadily. "Then we give them the best fight we can, Commander. But it will work. It has to." His console chimed with a priority message. "Ambassador Reed's shuttle has landed. Operation Walkabout entering final phase. 17 hours to execution." Around the world, in cities and towns across every continent, people went about their business with a strange mixture of tension and determination. The public had been informed that an alien ultimatum had been delivered, but details were sparse. Everyone knew something momentous was happening, but few understood exactly what. In New York, workers streamed into their offices as usual. In Tokyo, people crowded the streets. In Lagos, markets bustled with activity. Life continued while governments quietly enacted emergency protocols. Special broadcasts instructed citizens to keep certain items with them at all times. Essential documents, medications, family keepsakes, preparedness exercises, the authorities called them. Most people complied without fully understanding why. Meanwhile, in government facilities around the globe, final preparations were underway. Data archives were secured. Cultural artifacts were moved to special storage facilities. Seed banks were checked and double-checked. Humanity was packing its bags while pretending everything was normal. Ambassador Ilara Reed was escorted directly from her shuttle to the emergency session of the United Earth Council. The chamber was filled with representatives from every nation, all watching her expectantly as she took the podium. "The Galactic Council's terms are as we anticipated," she reported. "Complete technological submission and permanent oversight. They are no longer inviting us to join their community. They are demanding our surrender." President Rivera spoke for many when she asked, "And our response?" Ilara looked around the room, meeting the eyes of humanity's leaders. "The choice before us is simple but momentous. Do we surrender our future to alien control, or do we take the ultimate risk for freedom?" General Wright stood. "Operation Walkabout is prepared. All military assets are in position. Dr. Jackson reports the quantum displacement field is functioning within parameters." "And the civilian preparations?" asked President Kwan. "As complete as possible given the time constraints," replied Director Okafor. "Essential personnel and infrastructure are prioritized. We've run dozens of simulations. Success probability is high but not guaranteed." A heavy silence fell over the chamber as the magnitude of their decision pressed upon them. Finally, President Rivera spoke again. "We have discussed this possibility for months. We have planned, prepared, and now the moment of decision is upon us. I call for a final vote. Do we proceed with Operation Walkabout?" One by one, the representatives of Earth's nations voted. The result was unanimous. "Then it is decided," Rivera declared. "Ilara, please deliver our response to the Council." Ambassador Reed nodded solemnly. "It will be my honor." Supreme Counselor Thrax was surprised when Ambassador Reed requested another audience less than 12 hours after leaving the Council station. He granted it immediately, curious about Earth's quick response. Ilara stood before the Council again, her posture relaxed and confident despite the gravity of the situation. "Honorable representatives of the Galactic Council," she began, "I bring the response of Earth to your ultimatum." Thrax leaned forward. "We are pleased by your prompt reply. Does Earth accept our terms?" "No," Ilara said simply. "Earth respectfully declines all terms and conditions set forth by the Galactic Council." Shocked murmurs spread through the chamber. Thrax's scales darkened with anger. "Ambassador Reed, perhaps you fail to understand the seriousness of your situation," he said. Your planet has no defense against our fleet. If you reject our terms, we will have no choice but to enforce them." Ilara smiled slightly. "We understand perfectly, Supreme Counselor. Earth has never sought conflict with the Galactic Council or any other civilization. We wished only to develop on our own terms, to explore the stars in our own way." "That is not your decision to make," Thrax replied coldly. "The Council determines the readiness of species to join the galactic community." "And that," said Ilara, "is where we fundamentally disagree. Humanity will chart its own path among the stars, not as subordinates but as equals." Counselor Drex rose angrily. "This is absurd. Your primitive vessels cannot hope to challenge our fleet. Your defiance is futile." "We have no intention of fighting your fleet, Counselor," Ilara replied calmly. "There will be no war between us." "Then you will submit," Thrax declared. Ilara shook her head. "No, we will simply walk away." Confusion spread through the council chamber at her cryptic words. Thrax was about to demand clarification when an urgent communication interrupted the proceedings. "Supreme Counselor," called a frantic voice. "The human fleet, they're doing something to the planet." On the main display, a startling image appeared. Earth was surrounded by a strange blue-white energy field emanating from the human ships. The field grew stronger by the second, enveloping the entire planet in a shimmering bubble of light. "What is this?" demanded Thrax. "What are they doing?" Ilara's smile widened. "Exactly what I said, Supreme Counselor. We're walking away." Before the stunned council members could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. On the display, the energy field surrounding Earth pulsed brightly, and then both the planet and all human ships simply vanished, leaving empty space where a thriving world had been just moments before. The Galactic Council watched in absolute horror as humanity disappeared before their eyes, leaving them with nothing but Ambassador Reed's parting words echoing in the sudden silence. "We'll be in touch, counselors, on our terms." Humans walked away. The Galactic Council watched in absolute horror. Part 4. The Exodus. The Galactic Council's emergency session had been in progress for 3 days with little break. Supreme Counselor Thrax stood at the center of the chamber. His scales dulled with fatigue as he addressed the assembled representatives. "The situation remains unchanged," he announced, his voice tense. "Earth has vanished completely. Our sensors detect nothing but empty space where the planet once orbited." Counselor Drex rose from his seat, mandibles clicking with agitation. "This is unprecedented. A planet cannot simply disappear. And yet," said Ancient Counselor Vex calmly, "it has." Science Director Plex projected a series of complex data streams onto the main display. "Our analysis confirms that this was not an illusion or sensor malfunction. The humans somehow generated a quantum field that removed the entire planet from our space-time continuum." "Is it destroyed?" asked a representative from the Trellan Federation. "We don't believe so," Plex replied. "The energy readings suggest displacement rather than destruction. They moved it somewhere, but where that might be, we cannot determine." "What of Ambassador Reed?" Thrax demanded. "She was here when this happened." Security Chief Dorn stepped forward. "She has been placed under house arrest in the diplomatic quarters. However, she claims to know nothing of Earth's specific destination." "Bring her here," ordered Thrax. "Perhaps facing the full council will loosen her tongue." Ambassador Ilara Reed showed no sign of intimidation as she stood before the Galactic Council. If anything, she appeared more confident than during her previous appearances. "Ambassador," Thrax began, struggling to keep his voice level. "Explain what your people have done." "As I told you before, Supreme Counselor," Ilara replied, "we walked away. When faced with submission or conflict, humanity chose a third option." "This technology," Plex interjected, "it should have been impossible for your species to develop. How did you achieve it?" Ilara smiled slightly. "Humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When you left us no acceptable choices, we created one." "Where is Earth now?" Thrax demanded. "Safe," Ilara answered simply. "Beyond your reach, but not necessarily beyond communication. I remain here as humanity's representative, authorized to maintain diplomatic relations if the Council desires them." Counselor Drex scoffed. "You speak of diplomacy after this act of defiance? Your planet has violated the most basic laws of the community." "Laws we never agreed to," Ilara reminded him. Earth never joined your community, never accepted your authority. We have harmed no one. We simply relocated. Thrax leaned forward. You cannot hide forever, Ambassador. We will find Earth eventually. Perhaps, Ilara conceded. But by then humanity will have had time to develop without your constraints. We will meet as equals or not at all. The council chambers erupted in angry shouts and accusations. Through it all, Ilara stood calmly, waiting for order to be restored. Only ancient Counselor Vex remained silent, watching the human with something close to admiration in his eyes. Commander Varrock led the investigation fleet to Earth's former location. 20 of the Council's most advanced scientific vessels scanned the empty space where a blue planet had once orbited its yellow star. Report, he ordered, staring at the view screen as if he could make Earth reappear through sheer force of will. Science Officer Mira approached with data readings. Sir, we've detected trace quantum particles consistent with the field observed during the event. The pattern suggests a massive space-time manipulation. Can we follow it? Find where they went? The trail dissipates quickly, Mira replied. However, we've found something unusual. She highlighted a region of space on the display. There's a faint echo here, as if something briefly existed then disappeared again. Varrock frowned. Explain. It's just a theory, sir, but I believe they may have left behind an automated probe or beacon, something that periodically phases into our space-time to observe or record data, then returns to wherever Earth has gone. So they're watching us, Varrock concluded grimly. Can we capture this beacon when it appears? The manifestation lasts mere microseconds, Mira said. But if we set up the right equipment, we might be able to trace it back to its origin point. Make it happen, Varrock ordered. I want every resource focused on finding that planet. Archivist Pelleran had served the Council for over 200 years, cataloging the histories of countless civilizations. When summoned to join the Earth investigation, the bookish alien had been reluctant to leave the comfort of the Central Archives. Now, standing in the ruins of what had been a small human outpost on Mars, Pelleran felt a thrill of discovery that had been missing from their work for decades. Fascinating, they murmured. Examining the hastily abandoned habitat, they knew this was coming. Look at how methodically they stripped this facility. The investigation team had been searching every location in the Sol system where humans had established a presence. Each site told the same story. Careful evacuation, essential equipment removed, non-essentials left behind in orderly fashion. This was no panic response, Pelleran dictated into their recording device. The humans executed a pre-planned evacuation protocol. They took their people, their knowledge, and their critical technology. They left behind only what they deemed unnecessary or easily replaceable. In a storage room, Pelleran discovered something unusual, a small box containing physical books, carefully preserved. Opening one, they found handwritten text on the inside cover. To whoever finds this, we hope to meet again someday, as friends rather than subjects. Until then, these stories may help you understand us better. The archivist carefully packed the books for transport. Perhaps these artifacts would provide insight into the species that had done the impossible. Council investigators found Earth's moon still in its orbit, now circling the sun where Earth had once been. The human bases there had been evacuated like those on Mars, but one facility contained an active computer system that activated when the Council team entered. A holographic message played automatically, showing Ambassador Ilara Reed standing before a blue and green globe. If you are watching this, you're part of the Galactic Council's investigation team. The recording began. Let me save you some time. Earth has not been destroyed. We have simply relocated to a place where we can develop without external control. The technology that made this possible is entirely of our own creation, derived from understanding the universe's fundamental nature in ways your scientists never considered. The hologram smiled. We harbor no ill will toward the Council or any galactic civilization. We simply wish to determine our own destiny. If and when we choose to return, it will be as equals, not as subordinates. The message ended with coordinates appearing briefly, a star system on the far side of the galaxy, impossibly distant from Sol. When Council ships rushed to investigate these coordinates, they found nothing but empty space. The humans had left them chasing ghosts. Traitor Captain Dorn was not affiliated with the Galactic Council. As a freelance merchant from a non-council world, he traversed the less regulated regions of the galaxy, dealing in goods that sometimes skirted the edges of council law. During a routine stop at an outpost in the Cygnus Arm, Dorn encountered something unexpected: humans. The small trading station had never been particularly noteworthy, just one of many remote outposts where independent traders could exchange goods without council oversight. Now, however, it bustled with activity as humans moved freely among the other species, trading Earth goods that should not have been available this far from Sol. Cautiously, Dorn approached one of the human merchants, a woman selling packages of a brown powder that emitted an enticing aroma. "This substance," Dorn inquired, his translator converting his whistling speech into standard galactic language. "What is it?" "Coffee," the woman replied cheerfully. "Grown on New Terra. First harvest since the shift. Care to try some?" "New Terra?" Dorn echoed, careful to keep his tone merely curious. "I am not familiar with this world," the woman smiled. "It's relatively new on the galactic scene. Just established formal trade routes this cycle." As he purchased a package of the coffee, Dorn casually asked more questions. The human answered readily, but provided no useful information about New Terra's location or how humans had spread so far from their home system. Over the next month, Dorn visited 12 similar outposts in different sectors. At each one, he found humans trading Earth goods, establishing businesses, and integrating with local populations. None would reveal exactly where they had come from or how they had traveled such vast distances so quickly. When he finally reported his findings to the council, Dorn's information caused an uproar. Somehow, despite the council's blockade of Sol, humans had established a presence throughout the galaxy. 6 months after Earth's disappearance, Supreme Councilor Thrax received a disturbing report from the frontier regions. Council scout ships had discovered a fully established human colony on a previously uncharted world in the Sagittarius Arm. Unlike the traders at various outposts, these humans made no attempt to hide. They had built a thriving settlement with advanced technology and welcomed the council scouts with polite but firm boundaries. They claimed the planet was uninhabited when they arrived, reported the expedition leader. Their settlement appears to be approximately 3 years old, with infrastructure and agriculture well established. 3 years? Thrax repeated incredulously. Earth disappeared 6 months ago. Yes, Supreme Councilor. When questioned about this discrepancy, their governor suggested that time flows differently where we've been. They refused to elaborate further. Thrax's scales darkened with frustration. Did they explain how they reached this world? It's thousands of light years from Sol. They said only that distance is a matter of perspective. Their ships show no recognizable propulsion systems, yet they appear capable of interstellar travel without using known hyperspace routes. The implications were staggering. If humans could manipulate not just space but time as well, and if they could travel without using established hyperspace lanes that the Council controlled. How many of these colonies have been found? Thrax asked. 17 confirmed so far, spread across 6 different sectors. Based on communication intercepts, we believe there may be dozens more we haven't located yet. Thrax dismissed the messenger and sat alone in his chambers, contemplating this new reality. The humans hadn't just escaped Council authority, they had rendered it irrelevant. The carefully maintained order of the galactic community, built on controlled technology sharing and regulated expansion, faced an unprecedented challenge. Dr. Pelleran requested a special audience with the Council to present their findings from studying the artifacts left behind by humans. The elderly archivist stood before the assembled representatives, surrounded by holographic displays of data and images. Honored counselors, Pelleran began, my analysis of human cultural artifacts has revealed something remarkable. I believe I understand how they achieved what should have been impossible. The chamber fell silent as all attention focused on the archivist. In human literature, philosophy, and even their entertainment, there is a consistent theme, the rejection of limitations, Pelleran explained. Where most species accept the boundaries of physical laws, humans constantly question them. When told something cannot be done, their response is not acceptance but determination to prove otherwise. Images of human art and writing appeared around Pelleran, translated into galactic standard. This story, the archivist indicated a particular text, describes humans reaching another world through what they call folding space. This mathematical formula, from a human science fiction work written centuries ago, bears striking resemblance to actual quantum displacement theory that our physicists are only now beginning to explore. Counselor Vex leaned forward with interest. Are you suggesting they developed this technology from their imagination? Not exactly, Pelleran replied. Rather, their imagination freed them from conventional thinking. They didn't accept that something was impossible simply because it had never been done. The books they left behind were not random. They were a message, showing us that they had been conceptualizing these ideas long before they achieved them. This is all very philosophical, Thrax said impatiently. But how does it help us find Earth? Pelleran's expression grew solemn. That is my second finding, Supreme Counselor. I don't believe we can find Earth. Not in the way.